Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the St. Louis podcast. I'm your glorious host today, Eric Brown, sitting next to Chris Reisner. Today we have Dakota Grady on the podcast. We're going to get into the weeds with him and his business. But before we do, hope everyone having a great day so far. Thank you for listening and tuning in. I think we have a good episode for you guys today. Let's just jump right into it. Dakota, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
That was the first time you've ever given a shit about how the audience feels.
Yeah, you like that?
50 episodes in.
I've been watching some Tosh.0, Daniel Tosh's new podcast, and he talks to the audience for the first couple. You chill, bro. Why are you calling
I also
me?
appreciate you not calling me Christopher this episode.
Oh, yeah, I know.
This is like a whole new Eric.
I'd say it's fine. It's fine. It got that effect.
New year, new Eric.
We're trying to get into the pod here. Can we calm down? All right. So, again, we got Dakota Grady, owner of Noble Luxury Brands, recently rebranded your company from Gentry Limited. So, first question I have for you, with the new company and the new brand, what is the difference between the old brand and what do you want it to resonate with, not only people in St. Louis, but, people that obviously are paying attention to what you're doing?
So Gentry's Limited was just sort of, when we started the company, we worked with a lot of men. We didn't really focus on women's. And also, too, we're looking at more of a community impact as well. So kind of elevating the storefront. We're looking at buying out other companies here in St. Louis as well. We're building out an entire online store. So Noble definitely fits our vision as opposed to just working with the Gentry. Now we're looking at working with noble men and noble women. We're also focusing a lot more like community outreach programs and events and stuff like that as well. So we're looking at not just taking away from the resources of St. Louis, but actually adding to it.
Sure. So when it comes to like custom clothing, I feel like men, and I think I've talked about this before, I don't really know shit about female style. I feel like, hey, you got good style or you don't. But I wouldn't know how to put anything like that together. Versus men, I feel like we've all just gotten lazy. I remember first entering the workforce, like, everyone was still dressing up in 2015. And then it declined right before COVID. And then over COVID, now you're hard-pressed to find anyone in a suit jacket besides maybe some dude wearing a Men's Warehouse suit.
Right.
What happened?
I think that men tend to want to be lazy in general. I think that's one of our biggest struggles is that we're not really that driven as a natural point. So if somebody could set the bar a little bit lower for us, we're definitely going to take that extra mile and run with it. I mean, you hear this a lot, especially the dating world as well. Especially, when it comes to careers, you see women kind of excelling in areas that us men typically would. So I think it's kind of a mindset shift. After COVID, I think everybody's getting to this place where we are tired of constantly wearing the sweatpants, and we are seeing more of a swing back. But it's definitely a lot different. It's definitely a lot different than it used to be before. So.
Yeah, everyone just wears their company polo and like Lululemon pants, and you call it a day.
I feel like all the tech founders really attributed to this or contributed.
100%.
Well, everyone on social media now, if you listen to gurus, they're like, all the real men, they wear T-shirts, right?
And
they
testosterone.
They wear the black T-shirts. It's like, I forget which guru was talking about it, but he's like, if you work for a suit, it's like, no, you want your boss to look like exactly Jeff Bezos.
It's like Jeff Bezos in the fucking truck,
yeah.
with his wife in the black T-shirt.
Yep.
Like, imagine being just so far removed from society that you want to appeal to just us peasants, and that's what you give us.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
No, I think actually there's a lot of food for thought though with this. When you look at history in and of itself, the way that we dress actually reflects to our culture and actually what comes out of the culture group. And it's pretty consistent that whenever society starts to go certain routes, especially like hyper-focusing on sexuality, loosening the dress codes, etc., you actually see a complete deprivation of society that follows suit after. It's happened over and over and over again. And so I think what you're starting to see is a lot of men and women that are looking around at our competition. I'm 29 years old. I'm in the workforce. I'm trying to make a name for myself. I want to be the next Jeff Bezos. We just had an article that came out. So I think it was like when I first got into industry almost 9 years ago, it was 70% of employers would look at how you dress based off of if they're going to hire you or not.
Yeah.
Now it went up to 90%. Went up 20%, which is kind of extraordinary because if we all look the same, talk the same, act the same, have the same things, and naturally as humans, we want to have something that's exclusive and unique to us.
Yep.
So any company that comes out when it's a personalized feel, look, or touch, they're always going to excel, in my opinion, as opposed to a big box chain. So
100%. Yeah, it's, you know, I always look back at the photos, you know, when like airplanes were first commercialized, like people wore suits on
Oh
the
yeah.
plane. And you look at the old photos of like New York and shit like that, and everyone was dressed up. And now you take that same photo. It's just like, we're too comfortable.
We are, and I think especially too, we're too comfortable in St. Louis. You know, you always hear people talk about how to make St. Louis better and stuff, and the reality is like we should just accept St. Louis for what it is.
Yeah.
It's never going to be in Chicago. It's never going to be in LA. It's never going to be in New York. Never going to be in Miami,
Mhm.
and it's going to take years for generations to die out before that even could happen to this particular place.
Mhm.
So I definitely think St. Louis is definitely a specific city where we dress a little bit different, which is also fascinating too, because in my industry alone, St. Louis is one of the top 3 cities to make money doing what I do. And I think it's because we have a lot of gentrification, a lot of old school kind of habits, social clubs, etc.
Mhm.
So it's fascinating to say the least. But actually, Silverton, Colorado is statistically the worst dressed
Interesting.
place in
wow.
America. And if
How,
you've ever been to Silverton, it's interesting.
how do they, who ranks that? Where is that article
I,
from?
I don't even remember where I read that from. But Silverton, it's just you're in the middle of the mountains, it's a little mining town. I
Yeah,
lived
I
there
know.
years ago. It's
Yeah.
beautiful, but yeah, it's
Silverton's on I-70, right? You pass it going up. I'm pretty sure you pass it going up over
potentially.
into Summit County. Anyways, I was just there and I got stuck on I-70. It's lovely. It's like
Oof.
that's the new place to get stuck from Denver over to the mountains.
Yeah.
Everyone just gets stuck there on the pass. It's lovely. So I'm interested as far as going back. You said 9 years ago you entered the industry. What brought you to what you're doing now? What's your fascination with clothing? Have you always had a fascination like with clothing and style and things like that?
Yeah.
Or
So technically, I'm a homeschool college dropout. So I
Mm.
never finished high school, never finished college. Just didn't really understand the whole kind of the book study aspect of life.
sure.
So my background is actually horse training. So I worked for a guy named George Strait down in San Antonio who makes country music. I did his healers and his ropers. And so when I moved up here to get married at the time back in 2014, there's a lot of English writers in this city. There's not really a lot of Western writers, and I'm a Western writer.
Mm-hmm.
So the only place I found was like an hour and a half outside of St. Louis, and I wasn't going to drive there in my V8. So I was always interested in fashion and kind of being available to help educate guys, give guys a place to kind of be able to express themselves without some sort of stereotypes falling on them and help them out in that way and kind of be a light. So that's why I got into the industry. And then a couple years later, tried to buy out my old employer, and he wasn't interested. So started my own company, and now we're back at talking about buying them out again.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, 5 years later.
There you
Nice,
go.
nice.
So that's where we are.
Is that going well?
It is going well. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm not here for a piece of the pie. I'm really here for the whole pie. And I know
Sure.
it sounds egotistical, but the whole point of Noble Luxury Brands is to be a safe place for men and women to come in and be themselves and to talk and have somewhere they can go without it getting judged or recorded. And I think people want more of that. So we're planning on giving that fully to St. Louis and elsewhere. We work with clients now in Phoenix, Arizona, Omaha, Nebraska, Texas, Colorado, Illinois. So, and did I say Phoenix, Arizona?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I don't remember.
Phoenix
How
is
exactly do you work with them? Are you just like consulting with them? Are you sending them out stuff? Like what?
Yeah, so I actually, for a certain amount of money, I will actually fly to wherever you are and meet with you personally.
Mhm.
So what happens usually is you'll have a really good referral out there, and then you'll go out there and kind of set that standard, make it happen. Once we have their, their measurements on file, we can typically work with anybody. It's very easy to do, but I really enjoy going to those places and working there. I think it's so much fun going to a new city, meeting completely new people, seeing how they wear, what they dress, because the cloth, any good clothier, the cloth is going to be different that you should take there versus what we have here.
right,
So
right.
it's a new experience.
Well, I would assume you'd be wearing a lot of linen down in Phoenix.
Yeah, there's some
It's-
interesting stuff to wear for sure.
It's too damn hot. I
Mhm.
couldn't imagine like 6 months out of the year even putting on a suit jacket. I'd be like, that thing better just breathe like nobody's business.
yeah.
Otherwise, I'm sweating immediately.
And I think that's also an interesting thing too, is with the internet and the technology available for us, we're starting to understand fabric technology so much more and construction technology so much more. When I first got into this 9 years ago, I mean, I wasn't really educated on fabrics whatsoever. I was just kind of told like, hey, here's the suit fabrics, you need to sell these. When reality is that there are so many variations of fabric quality and types that go for certain regions. Like I can be honest with you, I could wear a full suit with a certain fabric in St. Louis and feel completely different than how you would if you wore your own, just because the materials are the wrong or right type. It's
Yep.
quite fascinating. So Yeah, it's hot down there though, to say the least.
It is. Yeah, it's always interesting and to see, if you're buying a suit, like where the fabric actually comes from. A lot of the time you can get the exact like mill and things like that. It is super interesting to see that kind of stuff. I tell guys all the time, especially I always harp on hating on like Joseph A. Bank and Men's Warehouse and these places because you're buying just glued garbage.
Right.
And you wonder why you're always so hot because there's no breath in any of that suit. So you're just causing yourself issues. But you always see financial advisors, a lot of them, they're always going, it's like spend a little bit more money. There's plenty of places you could get way better material, way better fabric, and actually start your own style versus going in and getting the worst fitted shit on the planet.
It's an interesting thing because a lot of guys,
They just don't know though.
well, us guys we're so packed. Like we're so packed. Like if we get into a herd, like think about it. Like you can go as a single guy into a bar, see two or three other guys, and be like, "Hey," you make a comment about their beanie. Next thing you know, you guys are buying shots together, and then you're just friends after that. And like that's how guys are. But at the same time, we also have a really hard time asking for help. We have a very hard time being vulnerable and open. And so a lot of the biggest kind of challenges that I run into are guys are like, oh, no, I don't need that, when they clearly, obviously do. And you can see it in their eyes that they also want it, but they just can't ask for it. Or the guys are like, oh, my wife dresses me. And it's like, bro, statistically, your wife is happier when you are at least 35% less attractive than she is. So do you really think she's trying her hardest to make you look good? Or do you think she's trying her hardest to make sure you're never going to fucking leave her?
I've always thought that. That's always been a question I've
That's
always thought.
That's a GQ thing that came out, brother.
So that's real?
Self-deprecating, absolutely real.
I always knew it. I was
and
like,
it kind of makes sense.
Unless it 100% makes sense, of course.
Dude, I mean,
100%.
And also, like, at the same time, like, we all like dating a hot chick or whatever, but, at the same, we all got to feel like we could have our thumb on our partner. But yeah, that was it. I found that one out, and that one just kind of sent me.
That makes sense. I've always thought that forever. I was like, because anytime some guy says that, they never look great.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
Like, no offense.
They never do. They never do.
If you're a man listening to this podcast right now, just go to nobleluxurybrands.com. Do yourself a favor. Because if your wife dresses you probably have no idea. You might need some help from Dakota here, sitting across the table.
I'm one of 7 kids. Like, my parents were broke. I was in a 500 square foot, 700 square foot house half my life. We used to go to Ross, like the clearance section of Ross, like the 49-cent shit. And I swear to God, when you look at these guys, you could pull these items mentally out from these places and put. It's like you were on the runway in the 89 of Kohl's. Like, it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating, especially in St. Louis. I feel like it's so prevalent in St. Louis. Like, you can go to Annie Gunn's and see some smoke show woman walking in there, and her guy looks like just a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Just a total piece of shit.
I guess it goes to show just a little bit of money goes a long way, right, guys? Jeez. You got enough money, it doesn't matter what you dress or look like.
That's exactly right. I saw this.
That's funny.
Interesting meme, and this is a spinoff, but it was a meme, and it was talking about the differences between appearance. And it was like this really hot dude in there, and he's like, "Sup, babe, you look cute today." And the receptionist was like, "Oh my gosh, like, thank you so much, Eric." And then it was like the exact same situation, but the dude did not look like Eric, and it was like, "Oh my gosh, he's such a creep." And it's like, dude, I mean, as fucked up as it is, like, if you look nice, you treat people nice, you're probably gonna stay out of more trouble than most. So
that is true. Every time I have my suit on or in my car, I know if I get pulled over, I'm like, "Yo, dude, chill."
Yeah.
Business meeting.
You're like,
I'm late.
Dad.
Yeah. Do you know who my dad is?
Do you know who my dad is? I don't know who my own father is. I'm actually asking you a serious question.
Yeah. Where is my dad? Where did he go?
So how many times have you been yanked out of your car for resisting arrest? He's like, "Hey, you know who I am?" Like an angry Karen on the internet screaming at them.
I am always, if you ever get pulled over, the best thing to do is be as nice as possible to a cop. 100% always. Never be a dick, because then they can ruin your day very quickly. I've never been mean to a cop ever in my life.
And the truth be told, like, a lot of folks don't know this. My uncle,
as soon as they pull away, they're like, "Fuck you, man."
No, that's exactly what you do. Fuck that guy.
Well, my uncle's a retired cop from Houston, and I've gotten to know a lot of officers over the years, but they've always said the same thing. I'll be honest with you. I've had like next to no tickets in my life, and I've done some really stupid shit. You roll down all of your windows when they walk up to your vehicle, and you have your interior lights on.
Yeah.
And I have gotten away with almost every fucking ticket doing that. And I think it's just because they walk up and there's nothing weird. They can see everything. I'm just there, open and honest. It's
they're
like,
not
hey,
worried.
they're not worried. As soon as I'm like, hey, sorry, totally wasn't paying attention. I was going, 16 miles over. I'll even tell them like what I, dude, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was
think-
going 10 over. My bad.
Yeah, and you don't even have to kiss their ass. Like, you just be like, hey, this is what I was doing. My bad. This is like what's going on in the car. They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense. My uncle has a different approach. As soon as the cop pulls up, first interaction is, hey, sup, pigs? That's the first words out of his mouth.
Jeez.
And the last time I was in the car with him, I was just like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And then,
Something.
Obviously, we were there for 30 minutes while
Yeah,
the cops searched every part of the car.
I was about to say, yeah,
And,
that's what you deserve.
That's exactly what.
It's dumb fuck. Why would you
That's
do that?
what he deserves. Yeah. You think like being a cop, you could not sell me on doing that job. That
No.
that has to be one of the
Least gratifying jobs out there.
top 3 worst jobs all time.
Yeah,
I don't know what's worse than that besides like fighting in
You have
the Middle
authority,
East right now for
but
the
you
United
don't have
States military.
authority, and you also have to worry about like politics. No, I couldn't imagine.
They get paid. pretty
Honestly,
well,
I'd rather
too.
fight in the Middle East than be a cop in St. Louis. I'd rather just have like at
Yeah,
least an
man.
enemy that I know
Yeah.
than
Versus-
not.
Well, every single time you pull a car over, you're worried about that person
Yep.
doing something to you, which is
Yep.
insane.
Actually, it's interesting. We shout out to one of my clients. They're actually representing one of the Starbucks employees. Did you guys hear about this? Who
What
got
happened?
pistol whipped on Grand?
Oh,
What?
No.
Yeah, there was a Starbucks robbery on Grand, and one of the employees was trying to comply but wasn't going fast enough, so the
Yeah.
guy whipped him over the head with a gun.
What?
So
the
this guy like fought back. Starbucks waits him on, fires his ass.
Damn.
Wow.
So they're going after him right now. But
Why
that's
would- why
exactly
would
it.
they
Like
fire
a
that
Starbucks
employee?
at noon. Well, because it's an insurance liability. Like a lot of these big box chains, especially with retail. That's why like California, everybody's like, why are they just letting them come in? Gucci would rather them steal $40,000 of products at a wholesale rate than to get a lawsuit for $5 million.
And those company burn products anyways.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
they
is
don't care.
which is crazy.
But I find it interesting. I'm excited to watch how this one goes. Because could you imagine like after getting beat up at your job, getting fired? I mean, thank God it's Starbucks. Because honestly, like, I hate Starbucks.
Starbucks is the most mediocre coffee. Like, I'm so pissed right now at Alex Dietrich, one of the owners here at my marketing company, and also at this lovely studio that we're sitting at right now. We have an espresso thing at work, and he bought this Starbucks pods, and all of the coffee is trash.
Okay, so
It's so bad.
I just
That
met.
happened
like-
like 3 weeks ago. Chill.
I'm like, this shit is awful.
You got the new espresso, didn't you? It was
Nope.
overnighted.
I
It's
just
not
met.
here yet. It wasn't here this morning.
I just met with
Okay.
the owners of Empire Coffee. It's EMPYR. And they're
Okay.
right there by the hill. They took me into their roastery, and it was a hole in the wall, very intimate roastery space. And you did a full coffee breakdown of me. They showed me the different bags, how to roast, and how to do stuff.
Interesting.
I don't drink black coffee. They poured me 3 different types of black coffee.
Good.
It was good.
That's
It was good. So Empire Coffee is definitely. That's
I got
pretty
really into coffee during the pandemic because I had nothing better to do.
cool. Yeah, I'm drinking a
And
matcha.
How much goes into it is crazy.
Yeah.
Just like the water temperature, the temperature of where the bean was made, like every little piece.
Apparently when it comes down to like consumers using it, the most important thing is the grinding.
Yes. Yep.
Isn't actually the machine. It's the grinder, and good grinders cost thousands of dollars.
Well,
There's a
You
YouTuber
can get
that
hand
does
grinders that are a lot cheaper, but
there's a YouTuber that
there's
does
like
a great job
specific
of
ways that they do it.
Empire Coffee though.
it was Empire Coffee, yeah, and the way that they were doing it there was a pour over coffee. Have you guys ever
Yeah.
made? Okay,
Yeah.
and apparently it's like one of the best forms to do it. It's pretty
Yes.
good.
It
I-
just takes longer.
It does. I
Yeah.
like, when I lived on my own before I was dating Shiloh, I mean, I did a lot of French pressing. Loved that. It's like
Yep.
a 10-minute ritual in the morning, kind of
Yep.
do your own thing. But yeah.
That's
not
why
so
I like
much.
coffee, because it gives me like 5 minutes to like.
Yep.
Now I drink coffee at the office because I listen to too much Andrew Huberman. So I was like, I'll wait 90 minutes to drink caffeine in the morning. And let me tell you, I noticed no difference because when I was on vacation, I had it immediately when I woke up and couldn't.
See, coffee doesn't affect me caffeine wise, and I think it's because I'm
Really?
like just so beyond ADHD or something.
Yeah.
Like even when is anybody 420 family in here?
Yeah, I mean, we're
Okay.
we're 420 friends.
So like indica for me does the opposite. So like I actually consume indicas as opposed to sativas almost any day of the week. Like if I
Really?
do sativas, I just get anxious. Indicas make me awake. It's kind of wild.
So, do you ever take medicine for ADD?
No,
Have
I've
you-
tried.
Have you ever?
I have, but I get really bad lows the next day.
So, I haven't taken Adderall in a long time. I used to be prescribed
Yep.
everything under the sun because I have
Yep.
ADHD, and I took Adderall because I was driving back from Denver to St. Louis. So I was like, I'm gonna stay awake.
Dude, Kansas
gonna-
is brutal.
And dude, my
It's so bad.
my anxiety on this medicine was
Just
out of this world. I was like freaking out for no
Yep.
reason. My buddy drove, and I was in the back seat, and I thought we were.
just gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, this is horrible.
Taking an Adderall and then sitting in the backseat of a car.
No,
driving
I
across
drove.
Kansas is the worst fucking idea ever.
I drove a lot.
That is like
It was for me to
hell on
drive. I
earth.
drove for the first half, and then, of course, I drove for like 6 hours. And like 6 hours is like the midlife of. So I was just peak right when he started driving, and I was just like, this is not fun.
Yeah.
I mean, no face, no case. I've driven while on a couple different substances to see which one worked the most for
Yeah.
me, and I will say THC is one of the best ones. But if you want to go full Joe Rogan on here, psilocybin.
Yeah,
I've been microdosing psilocybin for over 2 months.
interesting.
It's fucking incredible.
Really?
It's like Adderall, but there's no calm down. There's no depression state. It's like I'm able to process and articulate harder decisions with so much more clarity. I've been doing it with a couple other things. We take a Shilajit as well.
Okay.
But the psilocybin, you do like a cycle. We do 5 days on, 2 days off. It's like in a capsule form.
Interesting.
I will tell anybody to do it. It's very hard to do. It's emotionally hard to do. Like you will
What do you
just.
mean?
It's beyond emotional. So like a lot of people don't understand is like especially medicinal medicines. Like we're talking about like mushrooms or
Yeah,
weed or things
yeah.
like that. These are gifts from the earth that God has given us to help us process and deal with things in our life.
Mm,
So when you take mushrooms just to get yacked up on mushrooms,
Yeah.
it's a what you can do it that way.
yeah.
But really, in my opinion, mushrooms should be used for more of a medicational purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're doing microdosing on the psilocybin, it kind of gives you in a third person state from your own body because you're not tripping. You're
Yeah.
just kind of experiencing some of the very, very, very muted effects of that. Point is, Shiloh's been doing it. I've been doing it. My best buddy, Steven, he's been doing it. I have completely turned my life around 180. She has done the same thing. He has done the same. It's not a miracle drug. It takes work.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of emotional work. Like you'll just be crying randomly because you're basically just like bleeding out all this stuff out of your system as you're trying to sort through it. So
What is?
that's it.
What's the gram amount? What are you guys doing?
I need to double check my dose.
Okay.
I need to double check what we're actually doing, but we get it out of California.
Got it. I was just in Denver, and I completely didn't buy any mushrooms, and I
Yeah.
wanted to.
Yeah.
I wanted to.
I'm a big
It's-
fan of mushrooms. I'm a really big fan of mushrooms.
Dude, like you talk to like a 60-year-old about this stuff, they freak out. They're like, mushrooms. They're like, oh my
I know it's like you drink
They're like, "Oh my
booze
God."
every day.
God. Yeah.
You
It's
drink
like
a spirit.
It's like you're hammered right now on vodka soda.
Dude, I know.
Judging.
Dude, listen, I grew up in Texas. I used to vote Republican. I'm libertarian now. Dude, it's my favorite. Like what I have because we have all kinds of people come in the store. One time I had like this far left guy, far right guy come in. They came in drinking espresso, and we were talking about how the FDA was poisoning America. Like this is
I mean-
it's hilarious to see these conversations happen because
Not wrong.
I fully agree.
Yeah, not wrong.
100%.
Not wrong. Yeah.
But it is wild. Like when people are like, we shouldn't have this stuff legalized. Like it's terrible. I'm like, sugar is the most highly addictive substance on this planet. And you, brother, put that shit and everything. Also, you're like, bipolar isn't real. Because that was something I dealt with too growing up. Like, oh, you're not bipolar.
isn't real?
Yeah, so I grew up in a certain way where it's like, basically, like, if you claim to have like any sort of disability or whatever,
Yeah.
it's just you're just being weak.
Yeah.
Like, you need to muscle through
Yeah.
it kind of thing.
Being a bitch. Yeah. You're a man.
100%.
Figure it out.
And it was funny though because there's actually quite a few people out there that don't fully understand like what bipolar is or like how autism works.
Mm,
And it's like when you look at like red dye with
Yep.
what red dye does to you and how
Yep.
much red dye is and everything, it's like you guys have been creating a problem for the last 40, 50 years and you're paying the bill now and you just don't know why you're paying the bill now. I don't know, older generation, I really have a hard time with them sometimes. I'm not
Well,
even going to lie.
Tim Dillon, his most recent podcast, he went on a rant about boomers on that either the Department of Justice released an article saying that boomers are essentially the #1 enemy of the United States.
Yeah.
And they could cause the most problems. Essentially, they were talking about how them owning real estate and not selling is a big issue. They have apparently like if they all just pull their money out of the stock market will crash like 30-40%. So the stock market is just stocked up on boomer money. It's interesting. Literally, this is a legit document. I'll have to find this document.
I want to
Matt.
see it because, to be honest
it's
with
so
you,
funny. Tim Dillon talks about it and just riffs on it. It's hilarious.
I mean, again, and like, you gotta be careful because I don't want to like piss people off. But at the same time, whenever I have run into a guy who is a boomer and he's complaining about some shit, it's so hard for me not to look at him and be like, you have systematically caused almost every issue in my life because of just your consumption, your work ethic, and your voting habits from 1940s and 50s. Like, it's obviously it's aggressive on that state, but yeah, it is interesting. But apparently, because you know, remember like when millennials were the fun ones that just kind of take shots at it the whole time. Like, I'm a millennial. I think we're all millennials in here. You know, statistically, we're some of the highest producers in modern American history.
Take fucking notes.
Highest producers.
Let's
because
go.
I mean, but look at us. Like, we're super innovative. We're all workaholics thanks to our parents.
Yeah.
I mean, we're it.
Yeah, that's very true. I don't know personally many people that like aren't doing something.
No, and like, you know, like in the 70s, like in a movie from the 70s when it looks like there's like a hippie and they're like, you know, he's a loser, but there's like a lot of hippies from the 70s. Like now when you kind of look at folks in our generation that aren't doing something, it's kind of that placebo effect because you really don't see
they're at
men
home,
and women
you
our
wouldn't see 'em.
age. That's true. You wouldn't see men and women our age really not just like, we're always doing something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like that also kind of depends on where you fall, like in the rest of your friend groups and whatnot.
True.
Because there's definitely a lot of people on drugs
Yep.
who are just like doing absolutely nothing.
Yep.
Have not learned anything about anything, don't know how to take care of their kids. Like, that's a
1000%.
consistent
1000%.
Who are you talking about right now? I'm just kidding.
Not a specific person, but like
I was like, Jesus,
drug
that
usage
got
is
really like
through the roof.
subconscional.
To be honest with you,
Dude,
actually,
yeah.
I've known 2 people who died recently from drug overdose. It's like a big thing. I think that depression is extremely high right now. I think a lot of people don't really know where they really fit in society anymore. I mean, we are statistically, again, I talk a lot of statistics. I think it's interesting. We're in the greatest depression America's ever seen.
Yeah.
This actually, apparently the Great Depression actually looks kind of like
Better.
it's like a joke compared to typically what we're going through. So I think there's a lot of that going on too, but I agree. I feel like there's either those that had kind of just went and actually did something, and there's those who just decided not to.
Yeah, I feel like there's a much bigger gap than there was.
I think so
before.
too. They talk about like the disappearance in the middle class. I don't think it's even like a socioeconomic thing. I think it's more or less just there is no middle ground anymore. It's like you have to pick a side or a lane now. There's nothing in between.
So what I heard about the middle class, or what I was reading about, the All In podcast, I think, was talking about this, but they were talking about how it's like it's a long-term play to like bring like rich people they don't care about immigrants, like illegal immigrants coming in the border because they can just get cheaper labor.
Yep.
They'll figure out ways to make it work for them. The people that pay the price are the middle class and lower class, because now, you know, wages have actually been like increasing like pretty well if you look over like the past like 10 years. Obviously COVID and inflation fucked that up, but now you have, if you look at the number of illegal immigrants, and obviously you see like New York is just flooded. They have people everywhere. The police stations are flooded with people, and all cities are just, any major haven city that has it legal for you to just go there and say, I need a place to stay, is being like overran.
Yep.
And there's like now like YouTube, there's literally YouTube shorts, TikTok reels on like how to get into the United States. It's crazy. I don't know. And then we have the whole Governor Abbott thing, which we talked about briefly before we got on here. They're trying to remove the fence. So who actually put the barbed wire fence up?
I thought Abbott put the
It was the
fence up.
state though.
Texas
but,
put it up.
But I say Abbott, I mean the state of Texas.
Okay, and then the Border Patrol is taking it down.
No, I thought the Border Patrol was working with Abbott, and I thought that Biden was trying to take the national defense over to intercede.
Yeah.
From what I was understanding.
Because it was something like 3 people got in the water over there, and they actually couldn't go get them. So now they're trying to have him take it down.
Right, the Rio de Janeiro.
It was
stuff.
like an ethics crime because they put in these floating devices in the Rio Grande, and so somebody gets caught in them and then they die, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh!" It was the same. It's the same effect that like remember when that picture came out forever ago of the Texas Ranger,
Yeah.
and he looked like he was whipping an illegal immigrant, and he wasn't. It was just the extra reins from his lead line.
Yeah.
Like it's all perception. Like I have come to the conclusion now that neither Republicans or Democrats actually really care or love this country. And I really, really mean that. They don't do anything whatsoever to help the cause and betterment of each side.
Yep.
And when it comes down to it, immigration is everybody's problem. It's not just one problem or the other. And like, again, Republicans are all there like, we shouldn't have this, but not a single Republican will actually open up a home for an illegal immigrant, just like the Democrats won't do it.
Right.
Nobody wants to do it. And
Yeah.
that's what we all should just look at each other and be like, we're all selfish bastards. We all really don't give a shit. And we just want to kind of keep things the way that they are. But we got 4-year cycles.
I know. Yeah. Well, are you going to open your doors? I
I
mean,
would.
would you? The problem is you don't know that person, right? There are people locally that need help. I mean, not at some point is it not United States? What is better for United States? Like,
I agree.
we don't have to be a globalist.
No.
I mean, going back, that's the reason why the rich people don't care. It's because it's globalist, right? They want you go back and listen to like them in the 80s and 90s. They wanted globalization. Like they wanted open borders. They talked about it. That way they can have trade and just people come and go.
I think people like the idea of
It's
having a
not working well,
globalist
though.
world, but I don't think people know how to actually operate outside of a monarchy. And I know it's a little bit aggressive saying that, and we can have another sit down at some point, and I can prove this to you guys through history. The human condition operates best underneath a one monarch rule. And it will always, always, always be this way. I think people like the illusion of choice, but as Benjamin Franklin said, freedom is very expensive.
Yep.
And we're very cheap people. We're not really willing to be that hard at ensuring our own democracy and our own freedom. Like, if you really think about it, like when they were burning down Hawaii and everybody's like, oh my gosh, like that was totally a direct energy weapon, which we all fucking knew it was. We all saw it happen. We all saw the pictures of people dying. Like, the only response we should merit from that is to get our shit and go to DC and drag these people out in the streets, but we don't do it.
Dude, Hawaii was crazy.
California was crazy.
What in California?
They're doing this. They did the same thing in California. California was a prerequisite of Hawaii. That was a tester. They were burning California and Oregon and Washington State down, and then they just worked down to Hawaii. It was brilliant what they did.
Why would they want to burn? What's the point?
I think the whole point of burning is when you have certain areas of the land that are zoned off to be some sort of historical monument or some sort of national significance, and then you have a bunch of peasants like us that live in these places that are high demand that we don't want to move, aka a boomer generation. You physically have to move people out. This happened in the Trail of Tears. Look at our own history, not over almost 200 years ago. We did the exact same thing then. We did it, though, with horses and gunpowder. Now we're just doing it with a laser from a satellite. They clear out the land.
Hawaii is interesting. I did see some weird photos. I wouldn't say it was a definitely direct energy weapon. It is funny to talk about. But regardless, they let that place burn.
1,000%.
They let it burn. People were jumping into the ocean. I forget Jimmy Dore, which... He's a conservative guy, I guess. He has hot takes. He's a comedian, though. He's pretty interesting. Like, he's actually reports. He sent someone over there, and they had on-the-ground reporting right after it. And all of the locals, I mean, they didn't have any government help for weeks. No one was there.
You got FBI, CSI blocking off whole areas of land. And the scariest part was, and this
Oprah's house was fine.
Of course it was fine. Of course it was fine. I hate Oprah. I hate Oprah with a passion.
What do you mean? You don't want a car? You get a car.
Dude,
you get a car.
And
your house gets
that
burnt
woman
down.
is so evil. It's not even funny. But that being said, like, when you looked at the people that were told to stay in a certain area, those people who disobeyed were the ones who lived. And then we saw videos and photos of people being incinerated in their cars, melted in their vehicles.
Yep.
That should send a strong message to anybody, especially when it comes to these economic disasters, these pandemics, we call them pandemics, or whatever it is you want to say. It's something just to be careful of. Because I think at the end of the day, we all love our country. I love being American. I do. I love this
100%.
country.
What if I got to move? So where are we going to move to?
This country, I've been looking at some other places, but this country is...
You got to make money first, then you can move somewhere else.
But that's it. It's like, I love this country. It's beautiful. And like, you have so much diversity here of land and culture groups and time and space
Everyone's
and
like,
money.
go to Norway, go to Sweden.
It's
like
beautiful. Yeah, but Sweden would be beautiful, though.
Yeah, but it's not.
You got to go somewhere where there's just
America.
no world wars. No world wars. I just don't want to be involved in a war.
We're about to enter one.
And that's the thing, too.
Everyone wants to start a
but
war right now.
What's great about America is we're not actually a part of it. We're just going to ship people over.
1,000%. Dude,
Like-
we're absolute corporate of America. Let's just. By the way, it was interesting. You mentioned getting rid of
The
the
GED,
restrictions.
the restrictions, yeah, for the
I
military.
have actually. So
That was
I'm-
recently, I think, right?
Yes, I'm one of the people that was really heavy what they would call government conspiracy theorists. But when you
Mm.
really look at, like, even Alex Jones, like, people
Yeah.
talk about, like, Alex Jones is crazy. He's
He-
98% correct.
Yeah,
So is he crazy, or is he just 98% correct?
He's a crazy correct guy.
He is. But the thing is like, that
People
is the
hate Alex Jones.
That's
though.
the beautiful thing about propaganda.
Yeah.
Propaganda is to get people emotionally for or against a certain person or idea. It's brilliant. But that being said, I was talking about the conspiracy theorist part. I 100% agree they're doing that because they need conscripts. When you looked at some of the, I don't watch cable television.
January 20 yesterday.
Dude,
The U.S.
Wow.
Navy. So it's just the Navy. it
I don't
sounds
watch
like.
cable television. We were just in Wausau, Wisconsin up there, and I'm sure it was probably demographics because of what state we were in and all that shit. But it
Yeah.
was about this just good old boy white kid that was like serving his country and joining forces. I haven't seen a commercial like that in forever.
Yeah.
So what that shows to me too is that they're also trying to get those groups of people to start signing up again because, well, we stopped. I mean, like when you look at all the advertisements for the Army, it's not showing this typical demographics or opinions that it
Yeah.
used to before.
Yeah.
So I think they're definitely getting ready for it because at the end of the day, like all the immigration stuff coming through too, I've heard from many good sources that that's actually just to also like, hey,
Just recruit them to fight.
that's what the Hessians were.
That's
Literally, like
crazy.
Britain, when we were fighting the Britons in 1700s,
Yeah.
the Hessians were the German conscripts that they had just hired and paid.
Interesting.
And if you don't think you got millions of people that are not just from Mexico coming through the Mexico border, that you can't conscript and actually have fight for a certain cause against a certain group of people, that's
I saw it's like 250,000 people a month, like 250,000
Yep.
plus people a month coming across the border now.
Yep.
Which is crazy.
And what's crazy too is like I am pro immigration. I think immigration is extremely important in this country.
100%. Yeah.
The thing that people don't really ever want to talk about because it's extremely anti-cultural and it can technically get you fired is that when it comes to different groups of people, we have different cultural backgrounds. Not every culture mixes. Chocolate is very good for you, just like spaghetti is also good for you, but you don't put chocolate and spaghetti into the same plate. You can appreciate both
Sounds
of those things
awful.
independently. So like when you look at like El Paso, El
Yeah.
Paso's unrecognizable. El Paso is gone.
Really?
Like it's just gone. But you're gonna start see like in Germany, you're starting to see that too. I think if you do have too much of an influx of immigration without enough reform and education, then you kind of have this upset, which
Yeah.
is what we're starting to see. So
It's just so many people. Channel 5 on YouTube just went down there. Andrew, I forget what his name is. He's got a good YouTube channel. He does like he just goes around to some crazy places, documents. He got a border patrol. He
Yep.
went down there. And I mean, the border patrol is essentially just order takers. They're just taking these people and processing them.
Yep.
Apparently they just give them a court date from 2 years from now, a phone, because
Yep.
they have to be able to call them to tell them when their court date is.
and they don't show up, by the way.
Yeah, and then they're just in.
Yep.
And then they're in.
One of
And
my,
I think the California Newsom just said that they're going to offer health care to illegal immigrants.
I mean, it's brilliant.
It's
I would
crazy.
too.
It's crazy.
You give them voting rights, you give them health care, you give them food education. Why
Yeah.
would they not vote for you?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Newsom completely fucked over his people. Like going to California, we got family in California. I think California is one of those beautiful states in this country.
love LA.
It is so sexy and it's exciting too. It's very open and interesting, and people are like always like, and I love that about it.
yeah.
But what these politicians are very good at is taking and completely obliterating the people that actually make them their seat in the first place to try to give it to another group of people. And then when that doesn't work, they tend to blame it on us again. So I think Newsom, I mean, I'd love to see a DeSantis Newsom thing because I don't know. I think it'd be interesting to watch.
That would be interesting.
DeSantis is cool, but I saw he wears lifts in his cowboy boots, and that was a little bit
Ew.
bit weird.
Does he really?
He does, yeah.
Does that mean he's short?
I
How
think
short is he?
I mean, dude, if you're gonna be short, like now is the time to be short. They're like short king shit on TikTok. Like, bro, just own the fact that
Doesn't
you're
even mean he's short. He's just insecure.
Exactly. But yeah,
I mean, that's
when he was sitting there
wild.
talking, you see the lips in his
That's so embarrassing. That's terrible. It doesn't even look like he's
Hey,
that
maybe
short.
I got lifts. You don't. Maybe I got lifts in my
Yeah,
Chelsea boots.
That's crazy.
No, I would love to see them both debate because, to be honest with you, I think the time of us calling our friends that
It's going to
oppose
be
us
Trump Biden.
idiots,
It's not going to be. It's going to be Trump
yeah,
Biden.
it will be Trump Biden, and Trump's going to win this year. They can't not let him win this year. They're going to have to let him win.
He's going to win. Yeah.
They have to. They
Yeah.
have no choice.
I don't think. Well,
They did a really good job. last
Biden's
cycle.
losing very well too. Like anything he can do to lose right now is like he's losing.
Yeah,
like,
but I mean, do you guys believe in like the sanctity
I don't
of
feel like
voting?
there's
Do you think it's
nearly
even
as
real?
much like Trump. Like people aren't approving of Trump that much.
I think we're all tired of both of them. Like, I voted for Trump twice, and I'll say that on the podcast. And the reason I voted for Trump twice was for one thing: we didn't have war.
yeah.
We didn't have war for 4 years. I'm 29 years old. We have been at war every year.
Mm-hmm.
I have been alive except for 4. And that was when Donald Trump was in. And like, despite him being an asshole or what he talks about this or that, the point is like, I'm looking for a leader who's strong.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for in a leader, not somebody who's cool. And I think Trump was strong. I think Trump was very strong, and we kind of saw the results of that. For me, economically, though, typically we make more money when a Democrat's president.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like to talk about that. So there's also kind of, that option too. But I think we're all tired of both. I think we'd all like to see anybody in but these two guys.
Yeah.
I think
Who
Trump.
else do we got though? We got DeSantis.
I mean, there's a lot of fucking
They're
Americans
pushing-
that could be.
they're trying to push
be
Nikki.
fine.
They're
That's
trying to push Nikki Haley. It's like what?
But that's
No
the thing.
one wants Nikki Haley.
But I think that's the thing is like we all just need to wake up and realize they don't even represent us. They don't
They-
care about us.
they
They,
don't
don't
give
do
a shit,
anything
no.
for us. So we
No.
just need to like just not. Honestly, remember that okay, I'm probably gonna get in trouble. Remember that little like
so you
group
like Rand
of-
Paul?
I like Rand Paul. I do. And honestly, like I don't really like Ted Cruz, but like the smartest thing that guy
Yeah.
ever said was the whole thing about having limits on terms, which is brilliant. Like
Yeah.
if he would have passed that, he would have limited his own term. And
Yeah.
also like being able to do our taxes on a sticky note. Like
Yeah.
you guys like looked at what we get taxed at lately?
Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
This isn't freedom. We're paying to play.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I work so hard to
Yep.
keep 40% of my income, and I look around and it's like, yeah, I mean, it's just
Well, I say all the time, I see all these people spending all this money, expensive cars, expensive home. I'm like, are there all these people in St. Louis really making that much money, or are there just that many people in debt right now?
A lot of people in debt.
I think we're a lot of people in debt.
Like, there are so many big fucking houses in St. Louis. There are so many like,
The average family income in Lake St. Louis is less than $100,000, and
really?
yet they've all got massive homes and the fanciest cars, and
Interesting.
like
Do you
you
think we're-
can't do that on $100K
Do you
for
think?
a family.
Do you think we're in an era of life where we're just kind of numbing out to our problems? Like, I mean, when you really look at it, like everybody's like things are bad. Look at everything though right now. Like, go on. So I got off of Instagram, by the way, for 2 months. I haven't
Yeah.
been on Instagram in 2 months. It's been so good for me.
And
when I look
social media is awful.
When I
for you.
look around at the world, I look at social media, people, how we interact, what's going on in the city. I just feel like we're all in the state. Like over the break, I took a break for 2 weeks
Mhm.
after Christmas. I literally just I did jack shit. I
Yeah.
did nothing
Mhm.
for 2 weeks. Everybody that I talked to said 2 things. One, they took a long break, and 2, they really needed it and they didn't want to come back to work.
Yeah.
I think we're all just completely over it. Like, why are we doing this cycle of just the sameness over and over and over again, and then watching actively other people completely ruin our life
Mhm.
for us and take all the things that we're doing hard away from us?
Yeah. Well, okay, so you
They've
talk about
made debt into this very like normal thing.
They did.
I mean, it's very normal to go grab a credit card at 18.
Yeah.
And completely fuck up your life
whoa,
before
whoa,
Yeah.
you're
whoa.
25.
If you're a responsible 18-year-old,
If you're responsible, but they
also,
make
like,
it
who
seem
the
like
hell is
you
18
should.
and responsible these days?
no one.
And I'm
Well,
tired of that
But they
too.
make it seem like you should get a credit card because they want to
1000%.
build your credit.
If
Also, like, why do we have a credit score system anyways? Like, who even sets those ambiguous rules? You ever, like,
Dude,
tried to look
3
into how
private
that
companies.
fucking works?
Yeah, it's 3 private
Exactly,
companies. Yeah.
bro.
I used to do credit repair. Yeah, it's 3 private companies that are in charge of that. It's funny as hell.
insane.
TransUnion, dude. So we used to bring up credit scores. So maybe this isn't the case anymore, but I can tell you 100% that I looked at the thousands of credit reports for doing it for like 2.5 years right out of college, and I saw a white person and a black person. And let me tell you, they're not supposed to take race into consideration on credit score. They 100%
Of course
did.
they do.
100%. I saw so many times the same like credit report for one person and the other. The only difference was their skin color. You can assume who has the lower credit score.
For sure.
It was fucked up.
Absolutely.
But that's illegal.
I think there's so much shit that's
But
illegal.
how do they?
I don't.
Because the system's so fucked up that you can't even tell how they're doing it.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess like prove it, right? And prove that
Yeah.
they're doing
You'd
it
have
to one
to.
person.
You'd have to prove it, right? So you'd have to get like thousands of people together, all get their credit reports and like sift.
Fucking
Like it's
nightmare.
it
You just
sounds
go
like a
through
nightmare.
Every single piece of
yeah,
Oh.
data.
but it was 100% true when I did
I believe
that.
it.
Yeah,
I absolutely believe it.
and we saw it from the three bureaus: TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax.
That's something always that's pissed
I mean,
me off.
supposedly it was originally to help fight against racism, because in the
That makes
60s it
sense.
was, hey, you just go and get a loan if the banker likes you, and guess what? If you're going to a white banker and you're black, you're not
That makes
getting
so
that
much
loan.
sense.
Yeah,
So the idea was the credit score system, but then
That makes so much sense.
they
And then it
don't
just
tell
goes.
you how it goes.
they probably set it up
Back
like
to
this
the
the whole
exact same
time. They were
thing.
like, "Listen, this is going to be the best
And now
sales
it's three
tactic of
private
all time."
companies.
It's like we'll put them in debt, and we'll give them worse scores than all.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
that's-
like, if you guys want to have that conversation, I'll have that conversation, like, because it's fascinating. Like, my girlfriend, she comes from a very different background, believes very different things than I do, and yet at the same time, her and I agree. Like, people talk about systematic racism in
Yeah.
America.
yeah,
Systematic racism in America is not about the cops.
Ye-
Systematic
yeah,
racism
yeah.
is like way, way, way different than
Mhm.
what they actually think. But
Mhm.
it's and that's a whole discussion too about city and North City and St. Louis. And
100%. I
Something
mean,
I've always wanted is why do we not have a court of common sense? Like you can look at 1,000 documents and see, oh, well, obviously, this one group has lower credit score for no absolute reason. That's just common sense. But yet, why does it take, 80,000 pages of court documents, 10 years to prove it for an I'm sorry?
yeah.
dude, it's
I
crazy.
mean, the thing is, you could probably you'd have to like go through the source code of like them and figure out the exact input where it like takes that in. I don't know.
But then they just say, oh, sorry, it was a glitch. Or,
Or they
some
don't even
Oh,
do
for
it that. They
sure.
do it by geographical area. So they don't even
Oh,
have to.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't even have to necessarily know. They would just know based on some sort of proximity or, some sort of percentage-based system where they would just, based on all of these factors, they're probably this. Therefore,
So
lower
I
score.
live at De Bolivar and Pershing in the Central West Side.
Okay.
It's a predominantly black and then
Yeah.
I would say Pacific American area.
Mm.
So I wonder if, because like I've been building my credit score, but man, it's tough. And I
Yeah.
just wonder if that's
It has to
they
do
just
with-
like, oh,
it has to
do with your
you're in the
location.
Central West End.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
Hey there, St. Louis podcast listeners. We've got some exciting news from our sponsor, Farmers Insurance of St. Louis, led by the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Lee. Mark Lee of Farmers Insurance is recruiting agency owners here in St. Louis.
That's right, Garrett, and everyone knows what Farmers Insurance is, and if they don't, they will now.
Yes, it's kind of a household name. That said, as many of you know, a large part of our audience is made up of badass business owners, entrepreneurs, and top producing sales professionals with an open mind like yourself. Farmers Insurance is currently searching for driven individuals who aspire to own their own business or already own their own business and want to add another income stream to join the Farmers Insurance brand and own their own insurance agency.
This is a stellar opportunity to build your own insurance agency from scratch, take over an existing agency, or if you're just a slow roller, we know you the guys out there and ladies, get paid to train under an existing successful agency owner before starting your own.
Holy shit, Eric. That means that whether you have experience as a business owner or you've never heard the word business before in your life, there's a pathway to owning your own business through Farmers Insurance Agency led by Mark Lee.
That's right. You can become a Farmers Insurance business owner even if you've been homeless in the past, just like you.
Yeah, thanks.
If you've ever dreamt of being your own boss, building a team under a reputable brand, and making a difference in your community by offering top-tier auto, home, and commercial insurance to consumers and businesses in your area, Farmers Insurance of St. Louis, led by the godlike man himself, Mark Lee, has the perfect opportunity for you.
Visit insurancecareerstl.com to speak with Mark Lee, the district manager of Farmers Insurance of St. Louis, to become a Farmers Insurance agency owner today.
Did you hear that, St. Louis? Go visit insurancecareerstl.com. Insurancecareerstl.com. That is INSURANCE. Career, CAREERSTL.com.
To become a business owner today, again, one more time, visit insurancecareerstl, as in St. Louis.com today. right now, this second, or reach out to us at stlouispodcast.com and we'll introduce you to Mark Lee ourselves. And I promise he won't spell out insurance and career to you.
Now back to the show. How is
That's
living in
wild.
the Central West End?
I love it. It's my favorite place in all of St. Louis.
Yeah. It's a good
1000%.
It's a good time. Is crime a thing there?
It is a thing. It's just, yeah, it is a thing, regretfully. So it's just a battle between, as I look up into space, it's a battle between people who want to live like they should be able to live and people who want to live in reality.
Mm-hmm.
And that is pretty much all of St. Louis, I would say, crime politics.
Yeah.
Right then and there. So
Yeah.
we live next to 4 bus stops and a train station.
Mm-hmm.
And we have issues that come up at that corner often enough. We had Fields Foods that was there, then is gone.
Yeah. All Fields is
Um,
gone.
Yep, I did see that because I had the one in Maplewood's
Yeah,
going down too.
yeah.
So I don't know. I love the area. I don't have any really issues with it. That also could be the fact that I'm a 6 foot tall, 200-pound white guy with
Yeah.
a German Shepherd dog when I'm walking around.
It's true.
But other than that, my girlfriend, she had a scary situation the other day. But I love the Central West End. I mean, it's so diverse. The food is so good.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to all kinds of really cool little bars and niche areas and stuff like that.
Have
Pagan
you-
Wine Bar is the best cocktail spot in St. Louis.
Dude, yeah. I got kicked out of Pagan
Did
way
you?
back in the day.
How did you get kicked
So I was-
out of Pagan?
So I was actually sitting with a date at the time in Pagan, and I
Real
had
quick, listener, Pagan is the size of your closet.
Oh,
and
it's-
the owner makes every drink by hand one at a time. Very intimate.
Yeah. So that was a bookstore. I believe it was his dad's back
was.
in the day.
It
Yeah,
was.
so it was his dad's bookstore. He took it over, and I used to go in there all the time. And I had a date in there, and I was actually sitting with the owner's mom and my date. This guy ended up, so I went to the bar. This guy ended up like pulling up a chair next to my date and the mom, and he kept like grabbing my date.
That's not okay.
No shit. So
That's
I was like,
fucking
yo.
not good.
So eventually he stood up. Dude, I'm not a fighter. And you know, you might want me on my side when I'm drunk, but let me tell you, I have no technique at all. So I'm not going to be that useful. But I took this guy down to the ground and like choked him out on the
Yeah.
floor.
Yeah.
Like just like that. And yeah, they were like, you got to go. And I was like, yeah, fair enough.
There is something. I love that you
This
said
was
that.
like 5 or 6 years ago. But yeah, got to protect the woman. What the fuck?
Dude,
Back
okay.
off, dude.
So the lady I'm seeing now, her and I weren't even dating, but I was like really catching feelings for her. We were at this concert. We were at an Excision concert. If
Yeah.
you ever been to an Excision concert, it's a headbanging concert. It was out in
Yeah.
West County Factory.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're sitting there, and there's this dude who is very clearly backing up into her over and over and over again. I've never been in a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm the type of guy, if we get into an argument, I'm going to buy you a drink. We're going to be friends by the end of it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I straight up got this guy's face. There's something about like when you really do like something or somebody and that person tries to, man, it was weird. I've never felt like that
Dude, you
before.
turn into an
get
animal.
wild.
I
Yeah.
turn into like the animal brain kicks
And
in,
what's
and
scary
you're
is
just
you get
like,
like
I need
this
to.
superhuman strength and
Bro,
capabilities you don't even know you have.
I murked this guy so bad.
Dude, I wish I could have seen it. It was just legs in the air.
I was literally on the floor right next to the bar at
Yeah.
Pagan, on the floor with this guy. There's like you can fit like 20 people in there, so
Yeah.
we were like 2 of the 20.
Dude, I'm like the little baby gremlin in Incredibles. Like, I'm super chill, and if I get frustrated, I just turn into this little demon. It's so chatty to say, too, but, like, I would be so curious to see what would happen in a situation like that with me. I just, like, one time, just that
We
to
need to.
happen.
All right, we need to start a new show. It's called Punked St.
Can we
Louis.
please do
yeah,
that?
that'd be so good.
Oh, shit, speaking of St. Louis, you guys have surely heard about Am I Dating Your Boyfriend?
Yes,
Oh, yeah. You guys already talked about this on the show?
we've never talked about it on
Okay,
the show.
so I did
God.
I did sign up for the Am I Dating Your Girlfriend for the Facebook side. I don't know.
I heard
kinda
that
trash.
A lot of drama.
I've heard from
trash.
attorneys that you don't want to be in there.
Oh, I bet. I absolutely
Like
I can only
apparently
imagine.
there are multiple females that are getting sued
Oh, I can only imagine.
that for falsely accusing men of being married or in a relationship.
So when I joined the group, so
Like that sounds like a toxic ass group.
Oh, well,
it seems like it's a good idea at first, right? Maybe. It seems,
Maybe, yeah.
it's like a good idea at first, but then then once you have it turns into like a mob. It's like mob rule, mob think.
apparently
I
this
feel like
was.
it should be an app. You can only do yes or no.
I think people are trying to find a different way. So St. Louis infidelity rates in St. Louis are second highest in the nation.
Really?
Oh wow.
You know what number one is? Vegas.
That
Damn,
makes
Oh.
Vegas.
sense,
That makes
yeah.
sense.
We're second to Vegas. And so I
Damn.
think, like, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you guys. Like, back in the day when your boy was a DO double G, and I'd
Yeah.
be at Napoli all the time and shit like that.
Yeah.
The amount of clients, I mean, no, there's just so, it's happening all over this town. So I think they're trying to find a different way. But I did with Shiloh jump on the page for the ladies.
Mm.
And I was like, half this shit isn't even real. Like, they could, be saying stuff about somebody or like, oh, this happened. It's like, lady, he wasn't dating you. He went on one date with you.
Yeah.
That's not dating for 2 months. Like, it's got, and then I went on the guys one. It's exactly what
Probably
you
same
expect on a
thing.
guy. Some of the same thing, but a lot of guys be like, oh yeah, don't date her. She's crazy, but
Yeah.
put me to sleep. And the other guys are like, oh yeah, what's her at? And like, it's that kind of stupid shit. And then you have like, social
What's
justice
her
warrior
at?
women on there too. They're like, I'm here to help you guys. And like,
Oh.
and I'm like,
Oh,
why are you?
red pilled women?
Oh, bro, there's like women
Oh,
on there too that are like
no.
trying to like, we're trying to help you out. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think you're trying to be a pick me
That's
girl.
the stuff
Yeah.
of fucking nightmares right there.
I'm like trying to be a pick me
Dude,
girl.
no one likes pick me girls.
No,
No one likes those.
no.
That's
No.
like what I just watched. They were talking about how like the brand is specifically for pick me girls and like high school guys that have like never
Stanley Cups? Just joking.
Damn. All right.
That plastic water bottle is bad for you though.
Oh, I totally am aware of that. for
Plastics
sure.
are awful.
Almost copper or glass, baby. Copper or glass. The
Yeah.
only two things.
And that is why you should get an wallet.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Where's your Walla? Oh, you got it over there, but you're still drinking out of it.
Fucking water bottle.
I
right
have
now.
a water bottle you guys would love. It's called Memo.
I love that we're doing
MEMO.
this the second time.
And they make water bottles the sizes of paper. So like they have an A5 that I have, and it's
Oh,
literally
is it
the
like
size of the
the-
A5 paper. It's flat, it has a thing on the side. No, here's the deal. It's a weird ass looking water bottle. It's the coolest, most usable water
Looks
bottle.
like a
you ever had.
flask.
Bingo. I'll tell you what, do I have a messenger bag or backpack or anything? It
Yeah.
lays,
Are they glass?
No, it's metal or plastic. I have one of each, and I like the metal one the best, but it's heavy. I take them on planes.
Yeah.
I love them because I have a messenger bag. You can have a book next to it, have your laptop,
Because
and
it's
it just
flat.
it fucking
That would be
just
the-
it's
yeah.
so dude for
Yeah, the
OCD
circle
people
is
who
a
are
problem.
OCD. It's like the best
Mm.
thing on the planet.
Interesting. How many ounces are they? What can you get?
I don't know, 18
20
ounces.
20 ounces? It's
Oh,
not enough
there's 20.
water.
Well, that's the slim.
Let's see.
What
Yeah,
is
the
with
30
you and like?
36 ounces. Here we go. Let's go. That's my water bottle.
You just need like a 1 gallon, like a fat guy water
an
bottle.
ace,
I
apparently.
had one of those. I had the Stanley 1 gallon. You know how heavy a Stanley 1 gallon
Heavy
water
as Like a
bottle
thermos?
is? Oh my dude, yeah. It was like they straight up were like, we're gonna make this water bottle
Oh, it
for
goes
a
through
good
war.
old boy
Yeah.
that is gonna be building a house. And
100%.
my designer ass was like, I'm gonna buy that water
Yeah.
bottle and haul it to the gym. No.
No.
Never used it. Never will. It was way too big.
All right. So I got a couple questions going back to fashion real quick.
Okay.
I know we've been off topic for like half an hour. I don't even know what happened.
Longer than half an hour.
I've been having fun. I'm sorry,
Just
guys.
blanked out.
All right. So as far as, is there a couple, okay, so say you have a man or woman, they're looking to improve their style. They listen to the first half of this podcast. They're like, oh, you know, I dress like shit. I have no individuality at all. What's the first step they can take?
I think the first step anybody to take is just get inspiration for yourself.
Okay.
So a lot of times I will do this still. I will go to the mall and just walk around. I love walking around. Kind of feel the fabrics, feel the certain textures, try some stuff on. If you don't want to do that, that's fine too. But I really like doing that because I have found over my years of experience that there are certain fabrics that work on me, certain fabrics that don't work on me. Just because it's the right size doesn't mean it's going to work. And so a lot of frustration happens. Like, I can't find anything when I shop. It's because you're not doing your research. You're not going to go buy a car just because the body looks good. You're going to go buy a car because the body looks good. It's the right fit for you. It's got the right mileage. It's got all the details that are needed and necessary. I think people just make very ill-informed decisions when it comes to fashion. So just go get informed.
Yeah.
Ask questions.
Yeah, so many dudes just like, you know, you see him, they got the dress shirt, but it's like billowy,
Mm-hmm.
or it's like you're squeezing into your shirt from when you were like 12 years old.
Yep.
I just don't understand where we went wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I agree
Because
100%.
like men are just lazy now.
Yeah.
Come on, Chris with the purple hoodie.
I like the purple.
I appreciate Vi. I like the purple hoodie too. It was funny. He said, "Fuck, this is like the 6th week in a row that I've worn the purple hoodie on the pod on accident."
Hey, I'm wearing the same vest. So I made this vest and I make this shirt. So
That's-
I'm like, I'm gonna wear it in the podcast.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yep.
So the products that you have now, so you have stuff that you can buy, obviously on the site. So as far as custom, what if someone wants a little bit longer sleeves or anything like that from the stuff that you sell? Can you do that too?
From on the website? No.
No,
No, in person, yes. No, so we're actually really special in this way. As a St. Louis company, we have each level of basically person to business or business to person products now. So we have made to order, made to measure, and bespoke. So on our website, we have a lot of made to order products. I'm wearing the Dylan today. It's our banded woven cotton shirt. It's actually my personal favorite one. And then I have like a vest here. So like this vest, for instance, is a custom piece. It is a made to measure piece. We are going to start carrying items like this on the website in just ready-made sizes. That way, if people do want to just quickly get it or whatever else they can. And then, of course, we do the full bespoke or made to measure process as well.
So what if someone has measurements and they send them to you?
It's
Does
definitely
that
doable.
work?
Yeah,
Okay.
it does work. It depends on the person, but it typically does work.
The problem is where are you going to get the measurements from?
So what we're actually moving forward to, and this is exciting because it's not done yet.
Because
but
the camera shit doesn't work. It never has, at least.
So that's the thing is you,
MT
you need
Taylor, I think,
information.
used to be like the big one.
Yep.
And I tried
Yep.
it, and my sizes were so wrong, it was laughable.
And it all depends down to the person, and that's why I think, not to pat myself on the back, I think I am very good at what I do because it's not just the tape measure. Like a lot of times if you go to a shop, and I actually did this on my own and hurt myself on my own to get to where I am now. So if you go to a clothing store, a lot of times they'll put on try-on garments on you, which is jackets. It's just fine. In fact, it's brilliant. It's a way that you can kind of ensure a fit to see how it looks on your shoulders, on your body. I purposely, for years, do not use that, even though it costs me more money on the back end because I am sharpening my skills with my eyeballs versus having to rely on a try-on garment. So now, after doing this for so many years, I'm extremely good at what I do. And I don't remember exactly like where I was going with this whole thing, but the try-on garment was important somewhere.
Yeah, no, so I was talking about measurements and them not.
Oh, yes.
So how many measurements would you take?
Yeah, so it's about 20, 30 measurements per person,
Okay.
depending on what they buy. And that was the point of the try-on garments. You said before it didn't work. It does, depending on who you work with. So with us, we're very, very, very good at this. So if our clients are out of town, what we'll do is we'll send them kind of a try-on kit, which will include a couple pins, paper clips, tape measure, stuff like that. They will have either themselves or a significant other measure them. Then they will take photos. And then what we can do is we can create them a muslin wrap, which is an unfinished jacket garment type that is made in Rochester. They try that on, and then we sort of take pictures and videos, FaceTime them, see where the adjustments need to be made. They keep that in muslin wrap, and then we actually create and send them their own finished garment.
Okay,
So it's a very beautiful intrinsic process. It's the fit isn't phenomenal. It's amazing. So, but it's an expensive process, but we can easily do that if we don't fly out there.
Sure.
Yeah, we're one of the few in the nation that does that. So it's exciting.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I got fascinated with, really like men's clothing, I would say. So I went to Men's Warehouse.
Yep.
This was probably 5 or 6 years ago. And I went in, I got a suit. I had probably gotten a suitor there from before for like a funeral in high school or some shit, someone getting married. And they give me my finished suit. The shoulders are all fucked. The shoulders are, bubbly and like, I looked like a moron. I looked like an, and I brought up the fact that like this suit just straight up didn't fit me. And they're like, it's fine. It's normal. And so then I went into the rabbit hole of suits, of understanding fabrics, of like figuring out that like Men's Warehouse and Joseph A. Bank, for the most part, don't make good stuff, and that there are companies. And then it brought me to essentially Suit Supply.
Yep.
Because for a good, and they used to be way more affordable than they are now.
Yep, they were.
Like before COVID, they were great. They haven't had a sale or anything like that in years. But there's still, obviously they have custom, but they don't do anything like what you do as far as obviously they do custom. I'm trying to think of the name.
They can do like custom order.
Yeah.
They do that where it's like half and half.
Yeah. But obviously they don't cut apart the fabric and stuff like that. Like,
no, but
like
I think,
you do.
and the thing is like everybody asks me like, oh, how's the business going? Because nobody wears suits anymore, so they always assume we're growing. Every year we've been growing. All of my competitors that I am friends with, because I keep a very close relationship with everybody in this industry.
Mhm.
We're all growing because people don't have to do it anymore. So what
Yeah.
happens when you don't have to do something anymore? You want to start doing it.
Yeah.
So then what happens is like if you can go to your job, you can wear a t-shirt, and then everybody else in your job's wearing a t-shirt, you want to look different. So we're starting to see, we've always seen it, and I love it personally because I would rather be selling a guy a luxury $2,500 or $3,000 suit that's good for him in a special occasion or for him to celebrate something than to sell a guy a $500 cheap ass suit because he needs 5 of them to go to work in. Like I'd rather do beautiful designing one-off pieces all day long than just hustle suits from back in the 80s.
100%. Yeah, it's awful. It's awful. I see it all the time. You see that, and I used to tell guys that I would network with, I'd be like, dude, just go online. There's like style forums and there's Reddit. It's like there are a ton of, like, for men, there are a ton. There's so much good stuff online. It's insane.
There's really no reason for guys to be underdressed these days. Like, and again, like even on Instagram, when I was on my own personal profile, I followed most of my Instagram was like government conspiracy theories, aliens, and then fashion, like in that order. And there, I mean, the amount of guys on there, and they have the links to all this shit. Like it's so simple. But the one thing that isn't being talked about that I'm actually considering, and I haven't done it yet because I just don't know if I really want to put in this much time. But I really want to have like a speaker series. I've been looking at kind of Meridian Hotel for this, of doing just like how to be well kind of conference where it's like, hey, you have to wear clothing every fucking day. This is how you should wear your clothing every day. And then have somebody be like, hey, you have to spend money every single day. Here's the best credit cards that you should have for you to make the most money. Hey, you have to pay your taxes every year. All the shit that was not educated or taught to us throughout high school and all the things that we've had to learn on our own. I'm thinking about just being able to kind of pass that on. Because again, going full circle back to what I was saying, the biggest issue that guys run into fashion is not that they don't buy cool shit. It's that the fact that they buy the wrong cool shit. Like we have to buy things that work with their actual body type and size. And a lot of guys don't understand that. So I think having sort of a speaker series on explaining that, like just like the human anatomy and how your body scales, I think it'd be important.
Yeah.
So
I've always, something I've always thought about and potentially wanted to do is have men's clothing store, but I wouldn't have anything like custom or anything like that. But I would just curate the brands.
Yep.
And have good shit for them.
Yep.
It doesn't even seem like there's that many of those in St. Louis.
There's not. And actually, that's exciting that you brought that up. So that's what Noble Luxury Brands is actually becoming and is currently is. So we go to our website. When you actually walk into our store, we're by appointment only to kind of protect the privacy of our clients. We've always been that way. We will always be that way. But when you walk into the showroom, everything in there is for sale. We have furniture, rugs, plants, artwork on the wall. We just had Alicia Lachance, little shout out on February 22nd at the store from 6 to 8. We're going to be doing a wine tasting there. We're going to have Jeff Kaffer from St. Louis. Jeff Kaffer is a good friend of mine. He's going to have his birds displays in there as well. So
you said February 22nd?
February 22nd is when we're having that. I think it's actually from 5 to 8. So just kind of go to our website and shoot me an email and I'll make sure you're added to it. But basically, so it's that. And then when you go to our website, we have anything from made to order products. We're going to have, luxury paintings that are to be bought online. Maybe there's a certain watch that costs $50,000 that we were able to kind of get hold of that we could sell. So it's sort of this, if you guys are not familiar with the magazine, The Rake, follow the magazine, get the magazine. He does such a good job, and that's sort of kind of what we're almost modeling after in a way. So when you go to our website, you have these curated, just beautiful one-off pieces, and that way it's because you're right, we don't have anything like that for guys.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's like you have to hopefully find good brands.
Yep. Men are very brand loyal, by the way. That is something very unique to us because we don't have the time to look around.
Why wouldn't you be?
Yep.
Well, once you find a good brand, they make good stuff. It's like, what else do they make that's good?
Absolutely. Like I'll buy 20 pairs of the same exact underwear, the same shoes, like 100%.
Like I just found Taylor Stitch recently.
Yep.
Like within the past couple of months, and I've just been buying a bunch of their shit. Yep. It's great. I'm like, and it fits me. Like, it's so hard to find stuff that fits me. Like, especially my pants, because I have. If you're a man with an ass, good luck finding. Any pants that'll fit you.
1,000%. It's so true.
So it's
so true.
I haven't bought a new suit in like 2 years because then I have to buy fucking suit separates because my pants are too slim, and then I'm like, this is too much. This is just too much.
It finally
Now I need to
happened.
go.
This is why I stick to the purple hoodie.
That's
No,
what I'm
yes,
saying.
exactly.
It's
See,
easy.
it's
timeless.
easier.
What I'm
I've
saying.
built a brand around it at this
I'm
point.
just saying, I was gonna wear a hoodie and sweatpants here. I went tanning the other day because I'm going to Mexico, and I burnt the shit out of myself. So I am wearing this with much pain right now in this podcast studio.
Hey, they say beauty is pain.
I was gonna show up in sweatpants and a hoodie, and I was like, I want to look good for their podcast.
You got to.
Oh
you,
my gosh.
You gotta dress up. Okay.
I just got Eric to admit on like a podcast that he is thick, so I want that
Two
clip
Cs.
somewhere.
I've always said that. Yeah.
Two thieves.
I said I wanted to create just a pants company, like just
Yeah.
for thick
What was
men.
it? Bird Dogs? Did Bird Dogs do that? I think Bird
They're
Dogs
shit
did it.
though. Are
Well,
they
of
any good?
course. I've never bought
It's just
Bird
poly-
Dogs.
If you're a
Polyester-
tech founder.
It's just poly.
Well, that's the thing
exactly.
too. It's like
If you're Mark Zuckerberg, he's definitely wearing bird dogs.
I bet he is. No testosterone looking ass.
Now he's on TRT.
Mhm.
I'm sure he's on TRT.
Oh yeah, what's his wife's name? He's like, come put it in between my toes. Fucking disgusting.
Do you see any?
Dude, I saw that picture. I just laughed. Like,
He'll beat your ass though. He's trained in like jujitsu now.
oh, I bet. I was hoping for that Elon Musk fight. What was
Oh
it?
my
Him and
God.
Zuck.
Yeah, him and Zuck.
Dude, I
That
mean,
would've
how
made so
how
much
bored am I
money.
as an American? I'm like, let's put these two billionaires together in a ring and fight.
It really is a
Let
sad
the one-
day where we're like,
Okay, but why the
let's go.
fuck was he training on a floating platform in Hawaii? Like
Who?
Dude, it's nuts.
Zuckerberg.
Because
There was like
'Cause
photos
why
of
the
like
fuck not?
him
Because
and
there's a-
Izzy and like somebody
Dude.
else.
there's a trainer that's like, listen, I have this. You won't believe this
That's
new
exactly-
training technique.
The best place.
Have you heard of the ocean or a large body of water? What we're going to do is we're going to put a platform out there. It's going to move as you're moving. So it's it's like, what?
I don't know. He's got enough money. It probably
I'm
doesn't.
saying, when
you-
you have a stupid amount of money, what else are you gonna do? Well,
I mean,
Yeah.
could you imagine like trying to like logically think about how much money he has? Like, could you imagine getting to the place in this world,
I try
in
not
this
to.
world where you have so much money that
Yeah.
you could buy anything on this planet that you want? I'm talking about anything on this planet he could buy.
Well,
There's nothing that nobody would have.
I talk about this so
Maybe but the
often
Pope, because
because
they're
like
also-
if you're making $1 million a year doesn't sound like that much, but it's
so
like
much money.
so much. Like
That's
you
a
can
lot.
pretty much buy
That's a lot.
anything you would
I
want.
mean, the truth being is, like, in my opinion, you can live an extremely comfortable life as a single person making $60,000 to $70,000 a year. In my opinion, like, you got your home, you got a decent car that drives, you got a job, you can travel here and there, you eat decent. Like, you're not dying, you're
Yeah.
not starving to death.
you're not flourishing.
I
though.
couldn't imagine making. I mean, what was the guy that won the lottery? He
I just
after
saw that.
taxes, it was like 400 and something. I
Yeah.
saw it on LinkedIn. He
Yeah.
bought like 4 homes for like, I mean, and he's just,
yeah.
dude, it's just so much money. It's just so much money.
I don't know why you buy homes. Just put a high yield savings account, 5%, and just make your money.
all
I agree.
But
Yeah,
even
credit
at like
cards,
$300,000 or $400,000 a year, you're still making so much
Yeah.
more than everybody else.
My financial advisor, Brian Learman and Nick Jones, those are 2 guys I work with at a Renaissance. They have always told me, like, yes, everybody wants to make money, but realistically, there actually is a point where if you want to live a certain American lifestyle, you actually do not have to hustle after. Like, everybody wants to be like a Mark Zuckerberg because they think that's what
Yeah.
it takes to be happy, or like a Kim Kardashian. It's like, honestly, if you make what you said, if you can pull $250,000 a year between 1 or 2 incomes into your home, you guys will live a very, very good life. You will
Yeah.
travel when you want to, you will eat what you want to, and you will pretty much buy whatever car you want to and have a home that you want to. You'll be just fine.
Then you get kids, and then it's like, oh, maybe we
Now
don't.
you gotta have more.
Now we
Then
gotta
St.
have
Louis
more.
is like, well, you better put them in a high school while
Yeah.
you're here. And it's like, ugh. Some of those high schools are expensive. I have a
Yeah.
client who was sending one kid, I think he said it was $90,000 a semester.
Go
His
to
kid
a,
was
God
5 years
damn.
old.
go to a public school.
A public school.
I'm
for
sorry, you
sure.
said his kid was 5 years old.
5 years old.
Well,
So kindergarten, that's more than my degree was.
Well, that's the thing is like
that's a,
that-
such a waste
$90,000
of
a
money.
semester.
That is
So,
such
but
a waste of
but
money.
that's the thing.
That
is-
kid better be a
but this-
genius, but he's gonna end up a drug
But
addict.
this
probably,
is
and you're
why
like, God damn it, I
this is
shouldn't
why
have
the city and the county will never come together because but that's just it though. It's like that's why the socioeconomic question is there. Like what
Mhm.
high school did you go to? Dude, imagine like what that says about you as a person to somebody who actually gives a shit. If you're like, yeah, my parents dropped $500,000 on me from the ages of like 7 to 9 at my school.
I'm gonna start lying and say I went to MICDS or CDC or some
Student
shit.
Visitation Academy.
Isn't that women's?
Girls only.
I went to.
It's actually what my buddy told me.
Korezu or whatever. Is that all? Some all women's? It's like I was the first man, actually.
Dude, when I first moved here, my buddy Jamie, he's a good St. Louis guy, and he was like, "Tell everybody you went to visitation, so they can like relate to you." I'm like, "I went to visitation." They're like, "What?"
Yeah.
Stupid.
It's like my mom works there. She got me in.
Exactly,
Yeah, man.
100%, 1000%.
All right. That's all I got.
Yeah, that's it.
You got any questions, Chris? You got anything you want to talk about? Any big news?
Fashion for big guys.
Ooh, there we go. There we go.
What can I do?
Fashion for big guys. What I would always recommend is
DHL store, obviously.
Don't do DHL. Do some education. Definitely educate yourself. Kind of follow some other models that are in that situation as well. Kind of see what they wear. I always tell everybody solid colors are very slimming all the way across if that's something that you care about. I wear a lot of black just regardless, and it's kind of a big thing. What we are doing too to educate our clients, and this is becoming a very, very long, tiring process for me to do, but the way that us men wear our clothing is actually inappropriate whether you are a certain size or not. And it makes all of us look bad, and it's simply where we put our waistline on a lot of our garments.
Yeah.
And the reason why women love Lululemon and why it's so popular is because the yoga pant perfected that. Like when you look at like the old Andy Griffith show, and it's like there's Andy Griffith with his pants up to his belly button. How silly he looks. Actually, he's fucking brilliant. That's where you're supposed to wear your waistline. So what I would recommend too is start wearing your pants differently, start wearing your tops differently too. And that's what I've been trying to do for myself as well.
So then the pants, I always have an issue with length because I'm already super tall too.
100%. I mean, it's an absolute bitch. I agree 100%. And to be honest with you, when it comes to store wise, I mean, I have clients that will spend crap tons of money with me, and I'll still take them like an H&M or Forever 21 or somewhere like that. And apart from doing it like a custom route, there really isn't much out there to do. And to be very frank with you, and what people don't really talk about is where manufacturing is done. Like, actually, China makes some incredible products, by the way. I don't care what the world says.
Yeah.
They're brilliant. Also, Singapore does a really good job. My buddies in Indonesia do a really good job. Like, don't sleep on our Asian friends and tailors. Like, they are the absolute G's of this shit. And to be honest with you, in Italian tailoring, like, everybody wants to suck a dick about Italian tailoring.
Yeah.
Shit's honestly, it's good. It's not the best though, and also it's not going to exist in like 10 years. It just won't. So I would kind of get off that train. That being said, the stuff that they make on the Eastern Seaboard is built for a completely different body and body type than we are here in the States. So as Americans, I always hear it's a hard time finding stuff. That's because our clothing is not made for us.
Yeah.
We are purebred corn-eating motherfuckers. Like we all are. We're all mixed with something. We're the most biodiverse genetic pool in the world. You go to any other country, you just don't see that. Yeah. So we're buying little short, boxy, square items when in reality we need tall, long, kind of bigger items for us. So
So the waist thing, it's impossible to find high-waisted pants for men.
Yep.
It's starting to become more of a thing.
Yep.
Like Spear McKay, I know, sells some stuff. They're based in fucking Canada.
Yep.
So it's like then you got to ship shit.
Fashion is cyclical. So remember this too. As you guys are buying clothing, we will pull things out and say it's no longer trendy just so we can reintroduce it again later on and take more of your money. Genius. And that is just, it is genius. And it's only...
Not cool anymore. All right, bring it back out.
100%. And this
We're
is
cool.
like, okay, here's a perfect example of this. The Stanley Cup thing, I made a joke about earlier. Did you guys hear about this thing?
We talked about it last week on the
Okay,
podcast.
so the rise and fall of what's kind of
now
going
it's
on?
going back down.
Of course, because you got people who fight over it. People see that video and they're like, that's not cool anymore. Same thing with fashion.
Yeah.
The amount of my clients are like, oh, this guy I saw was on ESPN. I want to buy his jacket. I'm like, I've tried to sell you that exact same jacket.
Yeah. Why? So I'm such a fucking snob sometimes. So anytime I watch like sports or anytime there is someone on the TV wearing something, half the time I'm like, who? Don't you guys have like stylists at like ESPN and shit? Because they need to be fired, whoever they are.
Yes.
Like,
so
awful.
I know the answer to that question.
What's
there
the
is
answer?
companies out there that try very, very hard to make beautiful bespoke clothing, and they are only focused about sales. So they give kids and people tape measures and do it, and then they work out these incredible partnership deals with people like ESPN. So yeah, their shit sucks because the people
Like
who are
Tom
dressing them
James,
sucks.
those kind of companies.
It's not even Tom James, actually, the company that I'm thinking of. But they, I mean, yeah, it's not half custom either. So it's half and half, which is also going to be hard too, because a lot of those guys and commentators are also like ex-pro.
Yeah, they're
So
big guys.
it's actually I've tried so hard to get on TV.
Okay.
Like if you guys know anybody, like
Yeah.
because I would really just love to help these guys, because to be honest with you, they look like garbage. And
I know.
there was a guy I was watching for the
telling you,
morning
dude.
show. He's on Facebook posting all the time about what he wears, and he like tries so hard to look good, and he just misses it. It's like the guy, he like wears like white New Balance with like a pinstripe suit jacket with a t-shirt. Like, dude, what? No. Like, what do you do? You just missed it. Just
So yesterday, what do you feel about the checkered or some sort of patterned dress shirt with the vest? That's the ultimate finance bro.
Oh, you're talking about like that. You're talking about
like
the
the sweater
Gingham Check
vest?
Patagonia
Yeah.
vest, my boy.
Yeah. It's so overdone.
I think that there was a really good skit, and I forget the guy's name on my Instagram, who does the Alpha Dad introduction. And
Okay,
it's the
okay.
whole video is boys that look like they go to Ladue High with their hair combed to the side. They're all wearing that exact
Yeah,
thing with the
yeah.
jeans. And they're like, good to see you, Rob. Good to see you, Rob.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Rob. Good to see you, Rob. It's fucking hilarious. That's what I think it works. I personally would never, I mean, my financial advisor doesn't dress like that.
Yeah.
And I don't need him to wear a suit. The guy doesn't wear a suit hardly ever. But I think it's horrible.
Yeah.
Like you're not in Colorado, bro. Like
I know. I know.
that's why we actually made these.
Yeah.
And we've sold quite a few of these. But anyway.
That's always been my biggest thing. It's like, I've always wanted to pull, but I'm like, I just can't look like all these other guys. I hate it.
Well, the thing is, it's
And they're
like,
tucked into jeans, and half the time they're wearing, like you were saying, New Balances or something.
just remember
With
this.
the white socks. It's like, what is happening?
I have been so invested in trying to understand a culturalistic worldview perspective on how we think and operate, especially as folks in the Midwest. And I can definitely say this. Being in the Midwest, we think and talk so differently than almost the majority of the world does. So for instance, like how we're always like, hey man, I like your hoodie, like sick. I got this like $25. It's awesome. We all do that. We're
Yeah.
the only group that really does that, apart from like, I think like the Vietnamese.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're always like talking about like, oh, it's got to be lesser. Oh, it's got to be cheap or whatever. When you really think about it, we all want to be around winners. We all want to be around people who are victorious. We all want to be around champions. If you work with a financial advisor who is wearing Levi jeans from Walmart with Kohl's slide-ons and then that kind of get up,
Yeah.
he could be the best in the fucking world. And that's great if he is. I don't know. But just if I just meet somebody and it's the first time, the guy gets out of a Lamborghini and he's wearing a $50,000 suit from Tom Ford, is like, yeah, I manage people's finances and I make them wealthy. I'll be like, hey, bro, like, here's my money.
I used to love Tom Ford.
Here's my money. Like, manage my money. I want to look like that. I don't want to.
Well, did you hear about Tom Ford?
No, what happened with Tom Ford?
He's got some
Is he
some child
eating young
tendencies.
children?
Yeah.
Does he
Listen,
really?
Yes.
he's like 60.
He
and
was
looks
on
40.
he was on the Lolita
It's ridiculous.
Express.
Was he really?
Yes, dude.
Dude,
It
that
ruined
makes so much sense.
I know it does.
I believe you cannot make it in the world to that level without selling your soul to Satan, and I actually mean that of all sincerity. I don't think it's possible. I think the Illuminati is 100% real. I think it's all spiritual warfare, and it makes so much sense. When you get that much power, and like, think about it. We work hard to be told not no.
Yeah.
We like to be told yes.
Yep.
So imagine if you have that much money, and you could have any chick that you want. And then after a while, that gets boring. So then you're like, I want a dude because I want something different. And then you do that for a while, and it gets bored.
That doesn't
You go to children.
This whole line doesn't make any sense though. It doesn't make any sense.
What do you mean it doesn't make
How
any
do you
sense?
go, all right, I've had all the hot chicks. Now we need to go bros.
Because people get bored.
The bros are up.
People don't like being told no, and
Yeah.
people get bored. So
that's
after
just crazy.
dude, think
Men
about
are
it,
nasty, dude.
bro. Think about it. You can make coffee at home, but you spend $6 to get a coffee from
Holy
somewhere
fuck.
else.
Yeah, that's true.
Imagine if you could just get a chick that you want. Now you're gonna want to start spending money on your chicks. It's kind of like a progression.
Yeah, no, the
I'm
progression.
not surprised though with him.
Yeah.
It's crazy. He's a guy from Texas too. I
Yeah.
mean, he started out from the bottom, but I mean, whenever I see like there's accusations
Alleged.
about something,
Allegedly.
I feel
Allegedly.
like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I saw the Epstein list, the flight log list years ago before
Same.
it popped out,
Yeah.
And everybody's like, that guy's not on it. I'm like, dude, they're all on that shit. Like,
There's so many.
100%.
There's so many people on that list.
I know.
It's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. It is crazy.
It's crazy who's on that list.
We're
It's-
sitting here like, what about St. Louis? And it's
Yeah.
like, dude, we're like talking about Hawaii getting burnt down and shit. And dude, it's in like the flight logs. It's great. Dude, I'm telling you, going back to the just medicating ourselves out. It's a crazy time to be in.
Well, there's so much shit. The internet just gives us everything.
Oh,
and that's the problem. So you should just be like, we knew about local issue. Like people just used to watch the news and that was it.
I saw a advertisement the other day because my girlfriend and I, we decided to binge Dr. Phil, and then shout out one of my clients is going to be on Dr. Phil apparently,
Phil.
which is kind of cool. Dr. Phil, you're ugly,
I
you're
didn't know Dr. Phil
ridiculous.
was still
Give me
around.
$200.
Have you seen Adam Ray, the comedian, does the
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Phil impression?
Oh, yeah.
And he goes on
Oh, yeah.
podcasts and it's so funny.
Oh yeah, so there's Dr. Phil with his womb broom and all up at front center stage. And what was the whole point of me talking about this? There was something that actually I forget.
Your client's going on there?
Yeah, but it was something else.
Yeah, it was before that.
I forget.
So I actually heard Daniel Tosh's podcast had an episode with Tasha's designer, and they talked about she was on Dr. Phil's show, and she talked about how much money they spent
Yep.
on clothing.
Yep.
And it was like, I think they had an allocated budget of like $100,000 per episode or something like that.
Do you know how hard it is to make clothing look normal on TV? Like, so he dresses very normal. It's like, okay, there's Dr. Phil. He looks comforting. He looks good. That particular cloth that you have to have, the kind of cut that you have to have, the kind of look you have to make it look normal on television.
Expensive ass suits.
It's crazy because you have to. It's like a total overcorrection that you have to make. That the psychology of dress when it comes to television, I think, is in and of itself is fascinating.
All right, final thoughts.
Final thoughts, Matt. Thank you for dealing with us today. That's my final thought. Thanks, Matt. All right, Dakota, shout out your company. Where can people find you if they want to support you? Where do they go?
Yeah, so either nobleluxurybrands.com, shoot us an email at contact@nobleluxurybrands, phone number 314-239-7982. You can shoot a text message to that number as well. Website, we are on all the social media. And then if you're ever on the hill, come by, look us up, have an espresso martini with us.
There we go. Love espresso martinis.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Well, thank you for joining us today. That's all the time we have. We will be back next week, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. New episode, new guest, and of course, more of myself and Chris here. If you're watching live or later, we said something wrong. We talked about a lot of things today. We probably got some things wrong. Please let us know in the comments. Give us a shout out, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff for us. Show us some support. Show your friend. We have some hot takes, so I'm sure some of you guys will have some friends that'll like this episode. And of course, as always, shooting at Half Coast Studios today in St. Louis, Missouri. If you're looking to record a podcast locally, or if you just need help with editing, distribution, etc., reach out to them at halfcoaststudios.com. Again, pleasure speaking with you, Dakota. Pleasure hosting
Thanks
this
for having me.
podcast. Absolutely. For the people of St. Louis, we'll see everyone next week. See ya.
Hey there, St. Louis podcast listeners. We've got some exciting news from our sponsor, Farmers Insurance of St. Louis, led by the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Lee. Mark Lee of Farmers Insurance is recruiting agency owners here in St. Louis.
That's right, Garrett, and everyone knows what Farmers Insurance is, and if they don't, they will now.
Yes, it's kind of a household name. That said, as many of you know, a large part of our audience is made up of badass business owners, entrepreneurs, and top producing sales professionals with an open mind like yourself. Farmers Insurance is currently searching for driven individuals who aspire to own their own business or already own their own business and want to add another income stream to join the Farmers Insurance brand and own their own insurance agency.
This is a stellar opportunity to build your own insurance agency from scratch, take over an existing agency, or if you're just a slow roller, we know you, the guys out there and ladies, get paid to train under an existing successful agency owner before starting your own.
Holy shit, Eric. That means that whether you have experience as a business owner or you've never heard the word business before in your life, there's a pathway to owning your own business through Farmers Insurance Agency led by Mark Lee.
That's right. You can become a Farmers Insurance business owner even if you've been homeless in the past, just like you.
Yeah, thanks.
If you've ever dreamt of being your own boss, building a team under a reputable brand, and making a difference in your community by offering top-tier auto, home, and commercial insurance to consumers and businesses in your area, Farmers Insurance of St. Louis led by the godlike man himself, Mark Lee, has the perfect opportunity for you.
Visit insurancecareerstl.com to speak with Mark Lee, the district manager of Farmers Insurance of St. Louis, to become a Farmers Insurance agency owner today.
Did you hear that, St. Louis? Go visit insurancecareerstl.com. Insurancecareerstl.com. That is INSURANCE, career, CAREERSTL.com.
To become a business owner today, again, one more time, visit insurancecareerstl, as in St. Louis.com today. Right now, this second, or reach out to us at stlouispodcast.com and we'll introduce you to Mark Lee ourselves. And I promise he won't spell out insurance and career to you.